Hello, my name is Erica Hepner, and I am the Children's Services Coordinator for the Shenandoah County Library System. And our main branch where I work is located in Edinburgh, Virginia. I wanted to make a quick video today in response to a question on the Storytime Underground Facebook page about using a puppet mascot in Storytime. Something that has worked really well for me for the past, probably 5 years. And I think that my puppet friend Haji is just as popular, if not more so, at Storytime than I am. Sometimes I think the kids just come to see Haji. So I'll give a couple tips and I'll show just an example of how I would use him in Storytime. To give credit where credit is due, I started using Haji as a Storytime mascot after I attended an in-session training, and I believe that the instructor for that was Saroj Goting, and that took place through the Library of Virginia. So my memory might be failing me there, but I'm pretty sure that that was the training. She had this darling little baby bear puppet that lived inside of a sleeping bag and would come out and bring out like a letter of the day, and it was just darling. And so after that training, I immediately came back to my library and went to my puppet cabinet and found one that I thought would be perfect, and that was Haji. So I made him a little basket. I think that's something really important if you want to have a puppet mascot, is they need to have a sense of place. So you don't want them just like sitting out on a Storytime cart like a regular puppet that you might use just for a rhyme or a song, because you want them to really build a personality. So for the kids, they know this is Haji's basket. It also is a nice way to end that portion of Storytime and then move on to the next thing by putting Haji away. Again, if he just sat out or just got tossed into the Storytime bag that I have that I keep the books in, it might feel like that's something that could come back out again. Haji could come back, and that's not the case. When Haji's done, he's done. He goes away until next time. So here's his basket. I just took a regular basket that we had on hand, probably came from a forest or something. So he has a little name tag and a flower, and I just hot glued some scraps of fabric. I had a piece of burlap for the front, some flowers for the back, and this is where Haji lives. So I guess right now I'll show you the typical interaction. He comes out at the beginning of each story time with my preschoolers. After we've had our little hello welcome song and I've introduced myself and given the expectations for story time to the grown-ups, we then have the opportunity to check on friend Haji. So I will pull him out like this to show to the children, and I'll say, oh, my friends, it would not be story time unless we checked on our good friend Haji. But Haji might not be home. How do we check to see if Haji is at home today? And the kids who have been at Storytime before, of course, will be saying, oh, we have to turn on our listening ears. That's right. We have to turn on our listening ears and listen to see if Haji is home. So on the count of 3, we're going to turn on our listening ears. We'll listen for Haji like this. 1, 2, 3. Shh. Good job. Now your listening ears are turned on. So put a quiet hand behind your listening ear. Let's listen for Haji. And of course the kids are all excited because they say, we hear Haji, we hear him. That's right, I heard him too. Well, if Haji's home, we know that we can wake him up to come out and see us. He never minds coming to see his Storytime friends, even if he's sleeping. And Haji's always sleeping because he's nocturnal. The kids know this. So, how do we wake up Haji? That's right. We'll count to 3 again, and then in a big loud voice, 6, we'll all say together, "Wake up, Haji!" And we'll see if he'll come out to see us. All right, are you ready to count with me? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wake up, Haji! Oh, hello, Haji! Hi! And he'll wave to all the friends in the room. Yeah. Hello, Haji, how are you? Oh, Haji says he's very well. So at this point, Haji will have brought something with him. So for instance, this week, the first book that I was reading was Ducks Away by Mem Fox. So I wanted to prompt the children with ducks and have the opportunity to scaffold onto what they already know about ducks. So when we listened for Haji to come out of his basket, we heard the snoring, but then it helps actually because I'm wearing a mask so they can't see, but I made a quacking sound. So it was like, and of course the kids who've been there before are so startled because that is not the normal noise that Haji makes. So then when he came out, in fact, one little girl didn't even wait for me to prompt. She was like, "Haji, we heard quacking in your basket. What is going on?" So they were already excited. But then Haji, whatever the story time theme is, he will go into his basket and bring something out to show the friends. And this time it's this little duck puppet on a stick that I have, and it actually has a little squeaker in it. So Haji could squeak it. The kids thought it was great. So we did that. And then I asked the children, "Oh, have you ever seen a duck before?" Of course, most of them said yes. They talked about feeding ducks. They talked about seeing ducks swimming. We talked about colors. So Haji's duck is yellow. And they talked about brown ducks, white ducks, green ducks. It was a great little conversation. And then, of course, we always say, "Oh, thank you, Haji, so much for sharing that with us today. Are you going to put it away now?" Yes, because we always put up our things. We always clean up when we're done with our toys. A little nod to parents there. And then we say, "Haji, I have a wonderful book about ducks I would love to share with the friends today. Would you like to stay and listen to the story?" And every time Haji goes, "No." We say, "Oh, Haji never makes it to the first story, does he, friends? No, he needs to go back to sleep. Can you sing Haji his favorite lullaby to help him go back to sleep?" And I'll say yes, and we sing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" every time. And then after we sing "Twinkle, Twinkle," Haji blows his kisses. So then, "Good night, Haji, we love you." And they all blow kisses, and away Haji goes. And we tuck him back into the basket. And then I set his basket off to the side. So the kids still know that he's there, but he's sleeping. Sometimes if we're being especially rowdy with a song or rhyme during story time, the kids will remind me, "Shh, Miss Erica, don't wake up Haji." So they really have formed that connection with him. They know that his favorite food is worms. They know that he's a little bit afraid of bears. And these are things that just kind of naturally developed over the years that I've been using Haji, and they've just kind of become part of his story. If you noticed, Haji does not speak other than making the snoring noise. I don't do sounds with him. And that's actually because I was really nervous to use the puppet the first time. I was excited, but I just wasn't really confident that I could come up with a voice for the character. So the explanation for that is that Haji is kind of shy and he's just really quiet. So sometimes Miss Erica can hear what Haji said. If I make the motion like he's saying something, I'll be like, "Oh, friends, did you hear what Haji said?" And of course they say no, and I'll say, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what Haji said." So I'm not speaking for him, but I'm just speaking louder so that everyone can hear. And I think that does resonate with some children who come to storytime and are very shy or reserved at first, to say, "Well, that's okay. Haji is a little bit shy too. He comes out to say hello, but he doesn't do a lot of talking. He's very quiet." Oftentimes the kids want to touch Hedgie, and I don't really let the kids pet Hedgie, in part because this is Hedgie number 2. We had to buy a replacement Hedgie because the first one a little person got a hold of after a storytime program and actually pulled a lot of his fur out to the point that it was noticeable. So that Hedgie retired. So that's another recommendation I have, is whatever puppet you decide to use, buy a backup now. Because if the children do form that bond with that puppet, you can't easily switch. It's just all of a sudden somebody new. It would feel like the loss of a friend, I think, for your Storytime regulars. So yeah, you probably want to just have that backup. Hedgie is a Folkmanis puppet. He actually does have the ability to like turn and roll up in a ball, but I have never been able to figure out a good way to do that without looking like I'm just cranking on him, and so I don't do that. He doesn't roll up in a ball, but the puppet can do that theoretically. So I hope that that's helpful. If you have any other questions about using a puppet or a mascot, or choosing one, I'd be happy to answer your questions. You could contact me, and we could have a chat about that. I will also say, pick an animal that you like if you're going to use an animal as a mascot, because once people figure out that that's like your thing, you're going to get a lot of that animal. So I have hedgehog dish towels and a doorstop and hedgehog jewelry. So I love hedgehogs, so it works out. But if I didn't love hedgehogs, it'd be kind of like teachers getting apples all year long. You might get a little tired of it. But anyway, the friends love Hedgie and look forward to coming to see him every week. And I hope that you can find a puppet mascot for your story time that the kids love equally well. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.